People do not like Indians. Oh, this has been some crazy fucking drama. Well, we don't. I don't know. My opinion is that I think that you can be critical of the H-1B visa program and say, oh, well, these are problems that it could create. Sure. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hate Indians. I don't know. I feel like that's like kind of two different things, right? I mean, shit.
Tonight, as President-elect Donald Trump is preparing for a widespread immigration crackdown when he takes office 25 days from now, we're seeing a crack between some of his top advisors and his MAGA base. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are both facing major blowback from their own supporters for not only backing, but encouraging offering more visas to highly skilled foreign workers.
See, Chad, this is why I want to watch this one. We have the MAGA base backfiring on the MAGA base over an Indian and a white guy who are not from America telling us to indoctrinate more foreigners. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong, but we'll get into it. I do a lot of reactions, bro. So thank you so much. We're gonna watch this here because it's crazy.
Over the Christmas holiday, Musk posted this online saying, "Think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be." He later added, "I'm referring to bringing in, via legal immigration, the top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning." He's talking about H-1B visas, which allow employers to hire highly skilled foreign workers. Musk, who himself is from South Africa, said that he once had this kind of visa, and he's arguing that Silicon Valley is facing a shortage of excellent engineering talent, as he put it. But the annual cap on those kinds of visas right now is at $65,000, with another $20,000 for those who get a master's or a doctorate in the U.S. Musk is being backed up by his partner in Trump's government efficiency initiative, Vivek Ramaswamy. He says it's a cultural issue that there aren't more competitive engineers in the U.S. Here's what he said.
He got a lot of people mad about saying this
online.
When he says a lot of people, he means a lot of MAGA people, because they are so anti-immigrants right now. They see immigrants and it just blows their mind. And I support, like, you know, strong immigration laws and everything, but we still have to have immigrants, in my opinion. You want the smart ones to come in, right, and be the engineers and help you out. But I also understand why MAGA is upset, because they want you to train their people, the Americans, to do this job. But it's just hard when they don't go to school.
A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, or the jock over the valedictorian, will not produce the best engineers.
I'm going to be honest. I think Vivek is right. I do. I think he's right. And I think that there's two conversations that are happening. So the first conversation is that, is it good to import in talent of people that are extremely skilled so they can make the country better? I think the answer to that is yes. Nobody seemed to, I don't know. I'm sure actually people probably did have a problem with it. But, like, I mean, we did this after World War II, right? And
that's why they have the problem with it, is because we did do this once in World War II. And a lot of fears with educating people, and a lot of fears of bringing them in here and educating them, is that people are scared they're going to be spies to the other country. They're scared that we'll be bringing in people who don't have American values and trying to change America. So you have those two kind of notions. We're bringing them in and they're going to change America, or you're going to bring them in and they're going to be spies and against America. That's what I think the fear is, and a lot of the MAGA people have as well.
I mean, the Operation Paperclip, like, this is something that we did ourselves. And so, for sure, citizens and government only. Yeah. I think that really the other issue that a lot of people have, and this is my understanding of it, so, you know, take this with a grain of salt, is that what it seems like people are frustrated about is that the H-1B visas are not a equal program. And by the nature of that agreement, it gives the companies a better incentive to hire people based off of that versus hiring a person who is natively born here. And I think that also there's, like, accusations of nepotism, but racial nepotism and things like that. It's the fucking lottery. Yeah, it's cheaper labor, right? And so I think bringing people into the U.S. because you can pay them less money and they can do effectively the same job, I do think that that's problematic and that should not happen. So like I've always disliked the idea that the solution is to import in cheaper, like second or third world labor. I find that to be very problematic. And Lamalk, right? Well, no, I think that it's a very bad decision to have. And the reason why also is that it puts the person who is in that visa program at a disadvantageous position as well. And so like, and this is also true with like illegal immigrant workers also, is that those people do not have the same degrees of recourse that an American citizen would have. Like if you get shortchanged and you're working as like a illegal, like construction worker or something like that, you can't just go to the government and have them resolve this problem because you don't have those same rights and privileges. And that ultimately is beneficial. It's a weird thing, right? Because it's actually the people that are being taken advantage of the most are in fact those immigrants, because they can't have the public gets cheaper stuff, the company gets cheaper products, and then these immigrants get absolutely fucked. And the other,
but they also are fucking the local native people, right? The MAGA based people. The way there were, like chat just said over here, they took our jobs. They took our jobs. Even if they don't have the qualifications for those jobs, that's the mindset. That's the mentality. And so when you're bringing in these, okay, let's say, just for an example, you have an engineering job. Let's just use basic numbers. Let's say he's getting $100 an hour, right? As an American grown citizen. He comes in, he has to jump through hoops and all this stuff. We have different school programs here that we have to do. I was going to school to be a doctor once upon a time. And the requirements for me to become a doctor were so much harder in America because of the system and how they make money, and they wanted to encourage you to be in the system longer, so you have to spend more money, waste more time, more insurances, more this, more that, more loans. It's all part of that. But if I would have went to like Mexico, because I'm half Mexican, I'm Hispanic, half white, half Hispanic. So if I was to go to Mexico, I could have went to school right out of high school, joined a program to be trained as a doctor, and I got my degree within 4 years, versus having to go to school to get a bachelor's degree and then going to doing internships and then having to go and do MCAT classes and prep classes and then getting into med school, then doing another 4 years of med school. And then when you get into med school, you have to take your boards, and then you have to pass another exam. All these exams take prep, money prep, class prep. It's all a money-making system. So when you have these people who are in this country having to jump through hoops over hoops over hoops, and then you have other countries that don't have those hoops, they're coming here, they took their jobs. They come and take the job. Instead of being paid 100, they now have changed the pay gap, the payment from 100 to 75. And that slowly becomes the norm. Like he said it earlier, the immigrants are getting screwed, but overall, the homegrown Americans are getting screwed, because no longer is a norm 100, the norm is 75, because you'll have more of the immigrants in that position. So they will be assuming, and it'll be more accustomed, that the 75 will be the pay limit. So then you have these Americans who've had to spend so much time, so much money to have that extra $25 compensate for everything they've already spent in the past. So it's a disadvantage to the immigrants who are coming in, because they're not getting paid what they should be getting paid. They have the advantage because their education system and their homeland is not as corrupt as ours. You have the American who's getting screwed with the education system, and then screwed with the pay loss, and then screwed with the incentives to want to hire the other people. And then the argument here is that Elon Musk is saying is that we don't have good people. Well, we don't have good people because right now it's more beneficial to try to become a streamer than it is to try to become a doctor, because you can make a better living as a streamer most likely than a doctor. Even if you make it as a doctor, as a mid-tier doctor, you're still living pretty low on the totem pole what it used to be 10 years ago, and pay differences. So what he's saying, yes, it has a lot of disadvantages for the foreigner, but it also has more, in my opinion, disadvantages for the homegrown Americans.
group of people that gets fucked over are the people that would be competing for those jobs. Now, a lot of like, illegal immigrant jobs, many of them, it's very hard to fill those positions with American workers for a lot of reasons. But with a lot of these engineering jobs, I don't really know what to believe because it's very hard. Like everybody is always talking about like personal anecdotes. But if I was a company, I would logically want to hire somebody who, if you needed the visa to stay in the country and the visa was tied to your employment, you would have a vested interest in staying employed, which would mean that I could probably overwork you and make you do things that a normal citizen would not do. And I find that to be a very problematic relationship. And I think that that's really what I think that these are two, you can see kind of how like these are two separate conversations. I don't think that anybody has a problem with guys like Vivek coming over. Obviously, anytime that a person is critical of a culture that they're perceived to not be a part of, like, for example, I was critical of certain cultures, or Vivek is being critical of American culture since he's like Indian, people view it as like they get defensive about it. But I think that if you just take what Vivek is saying at face value, I think that he's absolutely accurate and he's completely right about this. Is that I think that we do have a culture that values aesthetics and optics more than effects and actual value. I think it's
but that's a culture that has been derived from our culture is created by our media, the powers that are be, so political powers, our media, and our influences. Those are what creates the culture. So if you have media, government, programs that are trying to actively push this narrative of what he's saying, the culture is being downgraded to like, Baywatch and like, Family Guy standards, instead of being idolizing doctors, science, and educational things like other countries do. Like TikTok, I think, on like China, TikTok in China versus TikTok in America is a totally different thing or something like that. They have people on there watching actual like scientists research things. They're getting forced to see educational things. So most of their kids in China and stuff like that want to be doctors, engineers, astronauts, just like our kids used to be. But now you look at the TikTok here in America, it's like girls dancing half naked. You see boobies flopping out. You see video game stuff. You see all the degen kind of culture, right? But that has all been pushed. That's a narrative that's been pushed on us. The sex culture, all that has been pushed on the American people. So yes, I think Vivek is right. I think he has a point. But also, it's not fair to start like kind of like saying in a negative connotation towards people like, well, we gotta hire more Indians to be engineers because Americans are just too fucking stupid. Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's more advantageous to try to be a streamer right now. The average YouTuber, they did a study recently, the average YouTuber makes 49% of them make less than, I think it was $1,500 a month. That means that 51% of them are making more than $1,500 a month. Right now, if you work $15 an hour, times 40, was that 15 is 400, $800, $900 a week, minus taxes, you're getting like $700. 700 times 4, you're making like $2,500 probably, maybe $2,500 ish. Getting paid minimum wage. Almost half of YouTubers are making close to that. Where's the incentive to do better? That's all I gotta say. When you have all, like I said, all these loopholes, all these BS stuff you have to jump through to get there, when you make it so hard to get to the top with just bullshit, people get checked out, man.
Huge problem. Yeah, it's already happening. Yeah, Vivek was born in Cincinnati. No, I understand he's an American just the same as anybody else is. I'm not debating that. But of course he was, right? He would have had to have been born here for president. But what I am saying is that he's he's perceived as an Indian. right? He's not white. So people are going to be defensive. That's the reason why. And I'm saying that, like, and this is what happens, like, basically, there's like an unspoken cultural rule where it's a lot more socially acceptable to criticize a culture that you're part of rather than a culture that you're not part of.
100%.
That's just how it is.
A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. But that argument is not going over well with Trump's MAGA base, certainly not online. Some of them saying, we did not ask them to engineer an immigration policy. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers.
I think that she's right. This is a huge problem. But this is just, it's not about being Indian or not. That's not even the point.
You don't even know what MAGA immigration policy is. Now, Trump himself, who I should note restricted H-1B visas in his first term, has said on the campaign trail this time around that he did want to make it easier for educated foreigners to work in the U.S.
What I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college, I think you should get automatically as part of your diploma a green card to be able to stay in this country. And that includes junior colleges too. Anybody graduates from a college, you go in there for 2 years or 4 years. If you graduate or you get a doctorate degree from college...
I don't agree with this, but I can see where he's coming from, sure. But no, I don't agree with this.
I don't agree with either. Definitely the junior college one. If you've gone to school, if you've gone to college, it's very, very easy. Junior college is very, very easy to get an associate's degree. I know people who failed every class in like high school who went to junior college and got some BS associate's degree that is pretty much worthless. So associate's degree in this country means nothing. Like, I'm sorry if you have one. I'm sorry if you have one and you think it meant something. It doesn't. I have a bachelor's degree from a UC, one of the fifth best schools in this nation. It means nothing. That also means nothing because I'm not using it. So I don't think that should do that. And there's a lot of people who actually come from like China, I had a lot of people in my class from China, from India, from Pakistan, some Middle Eastern countries and stuff like that, that had their parents that had like money in oil or their businesses, and they were sending their kids here to school. So a lot of them had ties to strong allegiances to their country, and they're just here to get an education because of the best education they could have. I think if you want to get an education-based visa, I think that should be something that could be explored, but I don't think right after you graduate you should get one. I think you should have to contribute a little bit by like staying here for 5 years or something, and you have like a temporary visa for 5 years and you work in an industry or something, because like there are a lot of people who send their kids here to be spies. Like, it happens. We had one guy in our class who would joke around about it, but we used to be like, I actually think he might actually be a spy. Because he took notes on everything, like everything, not just like class notes, like how everything worked at the school, where things were. Like, he was always interested in everybody's research stuff. Like, everybody was like, is he a spy? And he always joke around, so, oh yeah, my dad just sent me here so I can learn about X, Y, and Z.
You should be able to stay in this country.
My political sources tonight are former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist Sir Michael Singleton, and also CNN economics and political commentator Catherine Rampell. And Catherine, you have covered this issue for a long time. Can you just lay out what we're looking at here in this divide between what Elon Musk says he thinks would be the best for the United States and why we are seeing something that we have not seen, frankly, almost at all lately, which is a lot of people in the MAGA universe outright disagreeing with him, arguing with him, and breaking with him online?
Well, also, there's another component to this. A lot of people are comparing the criticism of this to people that are part of like, like the Trump supporters, that they're effectively like looking for DEI. And I think that comparison is actually accurate. But I think the difference is that people feel like a country should look after its own people first before it looks after other people instead. And I do think that it's problematic if like you're part of a country and they're doing more to, benefit people that aren't you more than other people. Your argument's flawed. Well, you should explain why it's flawed rather than just telling me that I'm wrong. Right? That's it. And so what is this comment? I'll read it really quickly. People yelling you should help people hear first are delusional. Well, why? What?
Before we hear the explanation of this, I want to say actually why too. This is a American country with American people. If you went to China or Japan, Germany, any other country, I'd expect them to take care of their German people first, their Japanese people, their Chinese people, their Pakistani people, whatever, Indian people. I would expect them to prioritize their people before they prioritize anybody else. Like, why is it wrong for Americans to think that way? As an American, I feel like I should get the help before somebody who is not an American. That's just my opinion. And I think that's like been the opinion of all Americans for the longest time. Like, what are we talking about? Haven't you seen like Pearl Harbor? Did you see how angry people, or even 9/11, how angry people got when Americans were killed on American soil? Like, they're Americans, bro. It's your countrymen. It's your people. What are we talking? If you're in a World of Warcraft guild, you prioritize your guildies before you do anybody else on the server, right? Unless you have like some deep connection to somebody, but you prioritize your guild. Those are your people.
Why are they delusional about that? Why is that problematic? I did. You can't force education on people who don't want an education. So you're against bringing educated foreigners that are actually delusional. Well, no, my point is that I think that there are a lot of people that are looking for engineering jobs here. And I think that if you follow, so this is the way that I would logically evaluate it. And I could be wrong about this, but this is the way that I would see it logically, is that it would be better to hire an employee that would be cheaper and also would have extra incentive to stay at the company. And from my understanding of these H-1B visas, it achieves both of those effects. So a company acting in its own best interest would create an outcome that would benefit these people over native workers. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I feel like that's what would make sense, right? I agree with you, but we can't help everyone is my point.
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier in the video. You have a system that is not trying to help everybody. You have a system that is trying to push a culture a certain way. They're trying to push these systems. If I could say tomorrow, I want to be an engineer and go sign up for a class and be taught how to be an engineer tomorrow, I think a lot of people would do it. But the reason why they're not doing it is because it costs money. If it was free, I'm sure a lot more people would be signing up for engineering. If it said, hey, to be an engineer, you don't need to take women's studies, you don't need to take liberal arts, you don't need to take this, you don't need to take that. All you need to do is know how to do math. I think a lot of people would take it. To be a doctor, I had to take a women's studies thing or a cultural studies thing. I needed to take, what else did I need? That was just bullshit for my degree. Communications classes, bullshit for my degree. What else? So I needed liberal arts, communications, cultural arts, and like a diversity class. I forget what they were. So all that was stupid. I had to learn how to do physics to be a doctor. Stupid. I had to take organic chemistry and chemistry, which is arguably, yes, I guess I wanted to be like a physiology kind of like doctor, like actually make the medicine and have a PhD. Great. But I wanted to be an MD doctor. I wanted to work on medicine, actually the patients. So why do I need to know how the medicine is formed? There are some arguments that people would have there, like, well, if you don't know that the bonds here and there, here, yeah, but you know, every doctor nowadays, they go to every doctor you have, they come in, they ask questions, blah, 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 and they go back to their computer and just type in and see what the results are. They don't remember everything. That's why doctors are also going to be replaced by AI in the future. But I promise you, if we had a system like other countries, we would have more Americans wanting to do these jobs, but they don't have the money, the time, or the resources.
Not everybody is going to be an engineer. You're completely right. That's totally true.
So Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in this particular case, I think are exactly right. America's ability to attract talent from around the world is basically our economic superpower. The fact that in particular, we've been able to attract high-skilled immigrants quite reliably in this country over the past century or so is why we have this enduring leadership.
That's always the way it's been. Yeah, and it's unironically, like, it's going to sound cliche, but it's one of the things that makes America great is the fact that people can come here from like other parts of the world, and if they're motivated and, you know, they want to make something special and important, then yeah, absolutely they can come here and do that. I think that
it's called the American dream. That's what he's talking about. It's called the American dream. And a lot of people would say the American dream is dead. But I think we should probably make the American dream come back to life. I think primarily the American dream should be primarily towards Americans first. And then if there's extra, those exceptional people will come and take those spots. But the American dream is dead right now. We have so much homeless. We have so many people on the street. Why don't we fix our America first? That's what a lot of these people are saying. And I agree and I disagree. I agree that foreigners have always been welcome to this country. We need foreigners. We need immigration. We need diversity. But we don't need it in the way that they've been pushing it. Now there's this hatred of DEI because they've been pushing it as a political, in my opinion, political tool, movement, and abuse. But we've always needed diversity. We've always needed, you need more people at the table to talk about things, different opinions, different outputs, inputs. It's what makes America great, like they said. But America is not great right now. That's the problem. So MAGA, I think the MAGA base right now, I think they're having like an internal little conflict because they're scared. I think they're actually scared of being replaced, like legitimately.
Consideration is the degree more than anything else.
Science, tech, and business. So just as an example, of all Fortune 500 companies, about half of them were founded by immigrants or the children of immigrants.
Sure.
And of the Nobel laureates, American Nobel laureates who have received prizes for the hard sciences this century, about 40% of them are immigrants who came to this.
I also think that American, like Western culture, is in a lot of ways corrosive. Like in some ways, I think that it's very good. Like, for example, the perspective on free speech and free expression. But I think that the way that American culture prioritizes and views aesthetics and optics above effect and hard work, I think that it's extremely unhealthy. And I do think that cultures that reward, beauty over an intelligence, basically.
Like we do.
These are cultures that will not be as intelligent. I think this is just true. It's only getting worse. Yeah, I think it is too. People wait.
Basically, he's saying what he's making the point that I made earlier in the video. This culture is made by the higher ups. They have pushed it this way, and now it is this way. And now instead of trying to correct course, they're trying to say, well, let's just replace the dummies. We have too many idiots. Let's just import more. We've always imported people, like you said. We've always imported smart people. But now they're saying, let's just import all of them, these Indian people or these foreigner people, because we have too many stupid people. So instead of trying to elevate our people, we've given up on them. That's what inherently what's happening.
Way too materialistic for sure. Yeah, I think so as well. It's because you never saw Chinese culture. It's completely backwards. I'm glad I left. I don't know about that.
Country. So again, this is our superpower, and I'm very glad that Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy recognize it. I very much hope that they are able to influence Donald Trump on this particular issue, but I'm doubtful about it because, just as you mentioned, in his first term, Trump was actually quite hostile to legal immigrants, in particular, by the way, high-skilled legal immigrants. He made it really hard for them to come here, not just those who wanted work authorization, international students who cross-subsidize American students, by the way. He basically harassed them and made it very difficult for them to keep their legal documents in order.
Yeah.
That's because, as much as Trump has said, he only objects to illegal immigration, he's very much in favor of legal immigration. His policies don't bear that out, and that's partly because Stephen Miller is the one who...
In my perspective, this is just my opinion, but I think that all immigration should serve to benefit the actual people in America. There should be nobody else who's taken into consideration other than people that are here. So, like, if something is not a net positive for the people that are already here, then it shouldn't happen. If it is a net positive, then it should happen. That's stupid. Well, no, I don't think that it is. I think that a country's government should operate in the best interest of the people in the country.
That's literally what it's meant to do. For the people, by the people. The will of the people. The people, the people, the people. What are we talking about?
Equivocally. And so, like, that's the only thing that really matters. How would that be measured? A lot of ways you could measure it. You could measure it about, like, job placement. You could measure it with, like, the way they pay taxes. There's a lot of ways. That's common sense. Yeah, exactly.
See, some people in his chat are just either young or stupid. I don't know. How you measure it? We have measurements for it right now. Education levels, economic levels, and life expectancy. That's how you deem if the country is doing well or not. Those 3 levels right there. We already do that. So I'm not sure if these guys are just not in his chat are not educated or they're just young. We already have those birth rate, education, life expectancy, income.
What about your companies and competitiveness? I think that competitiveness can be measured in a lot of different ways.
Was the architect of Donald Trump's immigration policies last time around, and will probably do so again this time around, and is unlikely to adopt the sort of Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy view of things.
Yeah, Stephen Miller's getting a huge job in the West Wing. He's been around Trump for the 4 years he was out of office. And sure, Michael, as the Republican here, I wonder what your view on this is, because this is happening within the Republican Party. I mean, these are 2 top advisors to Trump, the MAGA world, who are kind of framing this as the true believers, who say, we asked for stricter immigration policies. That didn't mean coming with a carve out for high-skilled workers that they say are taking American jobs here.
Yeah, look, I think with all due respect to Mr. Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they should focus on saving federal dollars for the taxpayers and not immigration policy. I understand some of the points that Catherine made, and I agree to an extent. But I think the U.S. should focus more on domestic skill development. Studies also show.
I agree with them. I think that should be the primary focus, too.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree with them.
That H1...
Yeah. And I just want to point out really quick, when you have a Democratic Party... See, I'm in the middle, guys. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. When you have a Democratic Party that clearly has left the borders open, clearly open for 4 years... and they want to continue to leave them open for whatever reason. Some people have theories, some conspiracy theories. But when they're super for this policy here, kind of gives me a little red flag as well. When I hear them saying, yeah, we're on board with Elon Musk. And, they're always against Elon Musk on everything. But this time, they're going to be truthful and be like, oh, yeah. Or is it part of their agenda as well? So they're supporting it. Because we all know they really want to do, they're really for illegal immigration. So it's a red flag for me a little bit.
B1 exactly.
I agree with this guy. We should be empowering our people. Like I said, we have a culture that was pushed on us, and now that people are falling, instead of abandoning them, we should be striving to push them upwards. And then taking in anybody we can after that. But that's my opinion.
Exacerbates employers hiring individuals from outside of the country when they could potentially hire minorities, for an example, which we know there's a shortage in the STEM fields. There are a significant number of Americans who I think would love opportunities if they had the proper training and skills to operate in those jobs fairly well. So why not start and focus there? I'm not of the support or mindset, Caitlin, that we should let in more than the 60+ thousand that were already let into the country. Do we have some deficits? I certainly understand that point, again, to what Catherine was sort of alluding to. But I think by focusing on increasing domestic skill development, you can decrease the furtherance of those deficits by virtue of saying, you know what, we're going to spend more of our time, more of our dollars educating our own citizens
I think he's right.
to compete for these jobs versus saying, let's increase to 100,000 or maybe even more for employers to bring in individuals from India, which is a predominant country where many of them come from. I don't agree with that at all. And I think folks in the MAGA world have every right to be angry with Vivek and Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, that's.
I don't even think it's necessarily like, I don't think it's like really that. It's a matter of like priorities and values. I don't think that it's necessarily like one perspective is like really 100% wrong. It's just like which perspective that you go with, right? I mean, and also I think it's probably a mix of the two more than anything.
Point, because I saw that argument being made, but also I saw Mark Cuban, Mr. Mayor, responding to that saying, well, and I think we have what he had posted.
I think we've already established Mark Cuban's a fucking idiot, right? We've all seen him lately. We've all seen Mark Cuban come out here. Yeah, he has money, but the dude's kind of dumb. Like, even Elon Musk has been saying it. He's been tweeting like, dude, you don't know how this works. You don't know this. You don't know that. Like, I think we should just stop with the Mark Cuban talks. If there's one point, like when I watched Shark Tank, I thought he was smart. But the more the guy talks, the more he dances, the more he rages. He's just not that smart.
Quoting to Elon Musk and Vivek saying, well, everyone, argue college is overrated. If you're arguing we need to have more homegrown engineers, don't we need more kids who are going to college? I mean, I think he's being a bit sarcastic there, but that is kind of the...
I think that he's obviously being sarcastic. Everybody's saying college is overrated. They're referring to gender studies degrees, not STEM degrees.
Exactly.
Dual arguments that you see sometimes.
Yeah, that's not what's happening.
They're talking about the students there who are going for gender studies, communication studies, some bullshit degree. Now I heard there's like, I forget what school it was. They're doing like how to be a mother degree or something like that, like a housewife degree, which is just so stupid. Like home ec degrees, like it's just nobody's saying we don't need more doctors or lawyers or engineers. Well, maybe not lawyers because AI, to be honest, is taking those away too. But
orbit.
Look, I see a couple of things going on here. First of all, I have to say I agree with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. I think they're pointing out the reality that we're living. You could say, and I hear Michael's point, I disagree with it though, because I think it misses the fact we want to get to the place where we can maximize the use of our own talent in this country. Let's bring in the best and brightest from all around the world. Let's really make our economy stronger. Let's become even more tech dominant. That's the way.
This guy's response already kind of echoes what I said earlier. When you know the Democrats, all they want is to import more and more immigrants. And what he's just saying, like, he's literally saying what I said, abandon American people and just get the new guys in here. Like, I just don't understand why the Democratic Party seems to, like, want to abandon the people they forced to the bottom. Like, they helped get these people to the bottom. And now they just want to let them go. It's wild to me.
In fact, to elevate the whole country and to create more opportunity for Americans of all kinds in the tech field. So I don't know why on earth we wouldn't want to grab all the talent out there, especially because if we don't, our competitors will. I think it's also fascinating that we're seeing this kind of open conflict. I think it's going to be the first of many. And of course, that speaks to the question of Elon Musk's role. I think really soon we're going to see more divergence between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. It's natural, given each of them having the power they have. I think that's going to be a very, very important storyline in 2025, that these two people who appear to be allies but really have very different interests start to diverge issue by issue. We saw it also.
I don't really see this as being a problem. I mean, everybody's always going to disagree with other people about things. Like a good example of this is that a lot of times when somebody runs for like president or vice president, the person that they choose to be their vice president was usually a person that ran against them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like Kamala Harris and Biden.
Yeah, that doesn't really seem like it's a bad thing. The media trying to create friction. Yeah, I think that there's been a lot of playing up of the friction. Yeah, Elon wasn't
Kamala literally
elected,
called
though.
Biden a racist.
Yeah, well, the media wasn't either. That doesn't stop them from trying to put their agenda into things too.
During the recent budget fight, I think we're going to see it on issues like artificial intelligence and climate, where Musk has been in a different place than Trump. That's going to have ramification for how successful Trump can be in general. And then finally, I mean, look, for the MAGA world to be turning on their own this quickly. This is also an interesting question. They almost look like Democrats here. You know, it's like, so I say this lovingly as a Democrat, like we have an ability to eat our own very quickly sometimes. Well, this is fascinating. Here are these heroes just a few minutes ago, and they say one thing that a lot of the MAGA world disagrees with, and suddenly they're being villainized. That's not good.
The one thing is a major thing, though. Like, literally, the entire country, Democrats or Republicans, one of their biggest focuses was immigration. I was like, I think it was the economy was second, immigration was first, economy, and then World War III, right? Something in that order. So I think this is a major issue, actually. You're having literally two people saying we need more immigrants when the base was saying close the border, no more immigrants. I think it's a bad take.
For that coalition.
Yeah,
I think that that's not good, period. And I think that he brings up a really good point about how this happens with both parties and it's really bad. Yeah, I think that's a huge issue. That, like, you can be aligned on like 9 out of 10 things, but the one thing that you're not aligned on, somehow that's the reason why you go to war. And I think that's the issue, right? It's that people can't find common ground and they constantly purity test each other until they can find a reason to go to war. Very, very annoying to see.
Again, it's not like it's like, hey, you prefer Coca-Cola or Pepsi? You told me you're a Coke guy, but you're actually a Pepsi guy? I fucking hate you. It's not something that simple. Imagine if, I think this topic is just, and abortion was up there too. I think this topic is just as important to MAGA as abortion. Can you imagine if Elon Musk started saying, you know what, actually, I think we should allow abortions? He would be, I think the MAGA base would be just as angry as it is with this immigration thing. It was a major point of the talking points for the election for both sides. It's not like something minute, not something minor. You know what I mean? It's something extremely major. It was in the top 5 reasons why people probably voted for Trump. So I think it's a major thing. It's not like, you don't like tacos? You told me you like tacos, bro. What the hell? I hate you. I fucking hate you now. I want you out of my life. No, it's something major, dude. It's something major. Something, I don't know.
That's interesting in terms of what the West Wing will look like, too. I mean,
It
Elon
happens
Musk
on the
is not
internet,
coming
too.
in, Catherine.
Like, how many times is there somebody like J.K. Rowling, great example of this, right? You know, she said one thing that's, you know, like, oh, well, trans women don't have the same experience real women do. Okay, now she's a right-wing extremist. Like, come on. What are we doing here? Some of the radicalization that people have is just completely fucking overblown. Massively overblown.
But in an official capacity, but he's
wife?
in the room.
Okay.
He's always at Mar-a-Lago. Trump jokes about how he's always often there. He has dinner with him regularly.
She's a radical feminist. It is not a radical. Calling somebody a radical feminist does not mean that they are a radical feminist. It is not a radical position to say that a person who transitions from being a male to a female is going to have a different lived experience than a person who was born a female.
That's fact.
This is not a radical position to have. This is a position that 90% of logical people have. Actually, that's not true. Probably 99% of logical people.
99.
You're just using vocabulary to make it seem like it's wrong.
Between that and the tech moguls who have been parading down to Mar-a-Lago to also have dinner with him, I wonder what that looks like with this divide that is so clear between Stephen Miller and what he has been advocating for and what we know he did in the first term, and what this looks like with a new big advisor in Trump's ear like Elon Musk.
Trump seems to listen to the last person he heard from. So if that is Elon Musk, it might be Elon Musk. If it's Stephen Miller, and as you point out, Stephen Miller will have a very powerful job in the next administration, it's probably going to be him. Frankly, I don't think Trump pays all that much attention to the nitty-gritty policies that are taking effect under his watch, which is probably why he doesn't even realize that last time around, he did a lot more to reduce legal immigration than illegal immigration because Stephen Miller was running the show. So I think that whatever Trump says he wants to do, the actual people who are executing the policy at the end of the day
Very
will
catty
be making the
response.
decisions.
Who knows, right? It's almost impossible to say. But in my opinion, I think that having immigration from people that are like really highly skilled is a good thing. And it's an overall net positive for sure. And, but the issue I think that a lot of people have is that they think that the current system incentivizes cannibalizing existing American jobs. And I think that that's a legitimate concern.
Kind of seems like that.
I think both of these things are true at the same time. And I think that if you're going to invest money into cultivating talent, I think that the best thing to do is to invest money into cultivating talent here, right? Because like at the end of the day, this is the way I see it, is that you're taking that money away from people with the threat of violence through taxes. And I think that ethically you have an obligation to use that money to benefit those people in the way that's most beneficial towards them. And so that's why I think that they should be, helped out for sure. So yeah, isn't that communism? Communism is not when people get taxes. No, that's not true. And not when hundreds of thousands will come every year. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? And so I think that most people would agree that bringing in some people that are very highly skilled is something that's beneficial and good. But I think that also most people would agree that bringing in so many people that they place people that are natively here out of jobs because of, basically pay discrepancies or other types of advantages is also a bad thing, right? Like I feel like there's an obvious nuance and an obvious middle ground here that people are kind of refusing to see. So yeah, I find this like the conversation to be kind of odd. What if we're using towards a UBI structure rather than keeping citizens in the workforce? Oh, I think that we will, but that's not going to happen for quite a while, I would assume. Probably longer than I would expect because nowadays... I
think UBI is coming sooner than we expect, to be honest. I think we'll have UBI here within 10 years. Like, no joke, within 10 years, UBI. Like, I think it's coming, for sure.
People are very much against that more than they were before. Sounds like a skill issue situation. Well, it is a skill issue situation in a lot of cases, but is it really a skill issue when a person is willing to work for like a lot less money than you are, and then they get hired instead of you? Is that really a skill issue? Because in a way it is, yeah, but it's also something that's unhealthy for the country. So I think that's really the conversation more than anything else. And people paying taxes, yeah, desperation issue, exactly. And so, yeah, less money, longer hours, etc. Because this mostly benefits one group the most, Indians. So a lot of people are going to see it and find it unfair. Yeah, I don't know why there's are there a lot of them Indians because just India is a really big country, and so like just by like the nature of the fact that there's a lot of people there, a lot of them are coming over are Indians.
It's culture. The Indian culture is different. That's what I'm saying. The culture is a huge dictation of why this happens, why some of these countries do well, and why some don't. Like he said, we have a culture that we idealize movie stars, beauty, and YouTubers. And these other countries like China and India, they idolize scientists. So they have more scientists, they have more smart people. It's just the culture. It's basic.
I really actually don't know. I don't know the answer for that. But Americans don't want to be engineers. I think there are a lot of Americans that don't want to be engineers. Absolutely. But yeah, that's my viewpoint on it.
Tonight, as President-elect Donald Trump is preparing for a wide...
All right, guys, so that's the video for you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you're here on YouTube. Chat, let me know as well in the chat right now. We'll talk about it. Let me know what you guys think. If I had bad takes, if Asmon had bad takes. We agreed on a lot of things, but there was a few things that we disagreed on. And let me know in the comments below if you made it here all the way on YouTube. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We do a lot of reaction content on Twitter. I mean, on Twitter, on TikTok. TikTok. We do TikTok as well. We do a lot of reaction content here on Twitch, and we do a lot of gameplay as well. We stream 4 to 5 hours a day for like gaming content, and then we do some reactions for another couple hours. So Make sure you guys come check it out, VallordTV, and hopefully you guys liked and subscribe. I'll see you guys for the next video, and then chat. If you guys have anything to say, let me know.